Hello, hello, and welcome to tonight's live. It is 22 years later after the attacks that happened on 9/11. So, in the year 2001, when I was only in 7th grade, the horrific attacks on the World Trade Center took place. And this was a day that changed all of our lives forever. It changed the world forever. Can't believe it's been 22 years and how much more this means almost even now to me at this point. I had no idea the significance of this date when I was young. So, as all the pieces and my investigating has come together over the years, I've uncovered some very, very crazy things about 9/11. And I'm not the only one that believes this was an inside job, right? This was one of the largest false flag operations that we have ever seen in the world. But actually, when it comes to it, the machine of war, which is a living entity, it is a living entity that is fed through the acts of terror and aggression of war. It usually is started. Hey, what's going on here? It's usually I had work today and then I had to just get going. So I apologize for any hiccups. We had to roll because this one's important. So the machine of war, right? It's always started according to some false flags. It's always false flags that get the war machine running. And that's exactly what 9/11 was. And as you can see my cover picture in the back here, a lot of symbolism going on. And I'm sure that a lot of you that are here are already here because you know what's up. I'm the spiritual genie, by the way. Please hit the like button. This needs to get out there. I think that people are like, it doesn't matter like why or how it happened, right? But it matters. It matters to the victims. It matters to everyone that the truth be known, because it isn't fair to place blame in a false place where it doesn't belong. Okay? So I was just watching Redacted and I had to stop it, even though the video was talking all about the false flag. And we're going to look at some really compelling evidence tonight to prove that this was a ritual. This was a massive ritual, a harvesting of energy by yours truly, your occultist leaders. Okay. I mean, if you just look at just look at. But I'm sure that the devil horns he's throwing are really just a sign of good faith, right? How they like to say, they love to say things like that. Oh, it's a symbol of good faith. Okay, sure. So this whole event was perfectly orchestrated to basically manipulate the population into going into a war under false pretenses. And not only that, but it was a massive operation to basically gaslight the public and to see how much they could get away with, just how passive we really are and how much we would really take. And it's sad because we're continuously attacked, tricked, psychologically ambushed, brainwashed, gaslit. And human beings just still seem to be, it's like we want to say the worst sometimes about humans, but man, we really are trustworthy, aren't we? We really believe whatever it is that we're told. Even though you see someone throwing up goat horns, the goat of Mendes, by the way, which we're going to get very deeply into, the symbol of the Baphomet, which you see right there. The leaders of this world are occultists, and they're Satanists, and they're Luciferian, and they're Freemasons, and they're all a part of secret societies, and you can't be in the club. So what a horrendous day, September 11th. I've been watching footage for days. Heartbreaking. I burst into tears like daily lately thinking about this. And this is going to be something that I think haunts me until like my last days. The numerology, the symbolism though, it starts becoming like a little mind-blowing when you look at it all. Like the threads, when you weave them together, you start seeing this bigger picture that is it's kind of undeniable. And why are there so many people out there that truly do? And these are professionals I'm talking about. Engineers, builders, people from different walks of life who are specialists in construction, who have been present for demolitions, all have the same things to say. So we're going to look at David Icke's special that he did today a little bit. And then also I have footage that we can take a look at, but I have a bunch of things cataloged here. And let's just get going. Let's get going. Where should we start? Let's get started by watching a little bit of this David Icke. Special, because the things he was saying in this, man, I'm telling you, this guy since the beginning has been on it with this one. He's interviewed whistleblowers and it all just ain't adding up. The math doesn't math. Okay. A tragic day. I do think let's take a moment of silence real quick as we get going. And I'm going to do 3 chimes on the bell, and let's just take a moment of silence. And that's going to be for the 3,000 souls that were claimed on that day. My heart goes out to the families, to all the first responders, the brave souls that threw themselves into the line of danger to rescue their fellow man. It's so moving, and it's so sad, but such a beautiful thing to see, like how people did come together through all of that. Human beings will show up for each other in times of crisis. As much as they want to program our minds to believe that that's not true, I don't believe that. I think human beings, sorry, this mic is like not doing what I want. Okay. Human beings will step up for each other. So let's have a moment of silence for all the victims that were lost on 9/11 and all of the first responders. Let's just take one moment to just acknowledge all those people and their families. May God protect the souls of all that were lost on that day. May you please protect and hold all of the loved ones that were left behind. Please cradle us all in your eternally loving arms, Lord. Amen. All right, so I see the comments over here. You know, there is a lot going on in the world right now. And with what just happened in Maui, it really got me looking at 9/11 again. And it got me thinking that this is where it all began, right? This is where it all began. This is where they really figured out, like, hey, this is where they really figured out, hey, we can do anything to these people. We can say anything and they're absolutely going to believe it. Which still, it drives me nuts a little bit. I don't know how much it's going to take or if it's already too late. Like, they back us into a corner, and we just allow it. I don't know. It makes me sad. But at the same time, like I said, it's endearing that human beings are so loving and trusting of their masters. Okay. So let's just take a look at this real quick. Oh, I've got to share with you guys. Oh, I think I need to search for it. No, it should be here. Give me one sec. Okay. Just have to like be patient while you're doing stuff like this, because my internet's been being funky and it's Mercury retrograde, I believe, right now. So I'm actually surprised things are working as well as they are. All right. So I hope you guys can see that okay. This is the David Icke special. I think this, because it's from his website, hopefully we don't get any copyright stuff on here. Mr. David Icke, please don't copyright me, because I just want to share the truth and get it out there. He has some really interesting things to say, and this man is a, I respect him as a researcher. Like, you don't have to agree with everything the guy says, but like, don't attack people for being free thinkers and for just seeking more deeply into things, for seeking the truth, right? When something just doesn't add up, it's okay to say, why doesn't it add up? Like, where is the point at which it doesn't make sense to me? Let me try to put the pieces together. Like, that's what he does. And I respect David Icke for that. And I read a book by him when I was younger called The Global Conspiracy and How to End It. And there was a large chapter in there, a really long chapter about 9/11 and everything that he already thought way back then. And that was 2008. So he was pretty on it immediately, as were a lot of people. And as I was watching footage, which I don't know that I'd be able to just find right now, but he has footage in the video we're going to take a look at. We won't watch a whole thing. We'll kind of zoom through it in different spots, and watch what's important. But there is a spot where there's all these people as it's happening and the panic is ensuing, saying they're hearing explosions going off at the bases of the building. And even when I was watching raw footage, I saw a lot of people saying the very same thing. In their panic, they're running around and they're saying, hey, even in one of the videos I watched, there was actually a firefighter that was directing people away from the base of the towers because they had already fallen and it was too dangerous to be over there. And this man was trying to go and help. And you know what the firefighter told to the man? And I heard it and it really stood out to me, but it was just this one little part in a clip of a video, which I wish I would have isolated now, where the firefighter is telling the man in regards to building 7, he's like, you got to get out of here. You got to go that way. They're about to take that one down. They're about to take that one down. So why the firefighter would say that if they didn't already know that building 7 was going to be taken down? 3 buildings like that, okay, do not just fall on their own footprint, like free fall onto their own footprint the way that those buildings did, unless it's a controlled demolition. I don't care what anybody says. It just the science, it doesn't science. And those that have the cojones to speak out about it are freaking also heroes in my mind.
There's a lot of things
let's work tonight.
I've said over the years, which were perceived to be crazy. And then suddenly they start to move mainstream.
I'm waiting for someone to convince me that we don't live in a simulation.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, taste, and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. What if
I was just saying that, dude. We're living in a virtual reality. It's crazy. My brother-in-law who passed away came through today. He came through today and told me that.
Hello and welcome to this iconic special on this 22nd anniversary of the most blatant inside job known as 9/11, in which some 3,000 people died on September the 11th, 2001, in an attack that was so obviously orchestrated from within the United States. And the world was changed forever, just as it was meant to be. It was the trigger that led to the invasion of Afghanistan, the invasion of Iraq, and death and destruction and mayhem across the Middle East. And it triggered also the Patriot Act, which was the first in that post 9/11 world we're still living in which basic freedoms are systematically deleted.
I love this band. They'll probably
And
for this.
all of this came from a simple fact. The wrong people were blamed for 9/11. Oh, we want to invade Afghanistan. So what can we do? Well, what we'll say is Osama bin Laden was behind the attacks, then we can invade Afghanistan because he was behind the attacks and they're protecting him. And it's a technique that I've been calling since the 1990s, problem, reaction, solution. You create the problem covertly, blame someone else for it. You tell the public the version of the problem that you want them to believe, and you want them to react with anger, with fear, with enormous frustration, and say, what are they, authority, going to do about it?
It's like, it's crazy how perfectly it was all orchestrated and how easy it is to kind of how malleable the minds of human beings are. I mean, honestly, it's sad to say, but it's really not that hard to manipulate people. If you want to control someone's attention, you control their emotions. You control their energy if you control their emotions. So by seeding fear, just like with the plan de mai, fill in the blanks. You know, you cultivate fear and you can do anything you want. People will just hand over their rights, hence the Patriot Act. Here you go. Have them. Don't need them. We need a savior. I'm sick of the savior mentality. You got to let it go, y'all. It makes you an easy candidate, a puppet, if you will. And we get into the numerology, which I'm just barely starting to really learn a lot about the gematria of things. We're going to get into that stuff. Like it blows your mind, all the numerology. There's so much symbolism that keeps us kind of in this hypnotized state under a spell. And as long as you don't see it, unfortunately, you will continue to be spellbound.
At which point those who've covertly created the problem got that public reaction, do something, then offer the solutions to the problems they have themselves.
Like, I think it's just important to listen to what he's saying, because he's like breaking it down in a mathematical way. Like,
and September 11th and those attacks, when you look at the evidence, was a most obvious
everybody
problem,
pray for
reaction,
Florida right now.
solution, and we've seen so many
hit with this storm. Okay, there's storms devastating
COVID,
all over the world right now. There are people being devastated all over our world, and I just can't make videos fast enough to cover all of this. But I'm telling you, like, this is a push right now. This is an absolute push toward the future of AI and transhumanism. I guarantee you. Their idea is let's destroy as much of the land as we can, and then boom, we can build our smart cities. We can push our AI agenda, right? It's all ramping up at this point. We're in the year 2023. This is the year of the skull and bones. Skull and bones 322. It's right there. Boom. So if you invert that or whatever it becomes, we're in this skull and bones year. No, it's 322 backwards. 322. You've got 322 if you put it backwards. So we're in the year of skull and bones. This is a big year for them. This is a year where they really establish and root in the New World Order. So, but I do feel like the tides are changing. And I feel like that we're even able to come out and speak about these things right now does say that there's an awakening happening within the collective consciousness. And I see people out there every day. I'm out here, doing my research, and I'm seeing that the people are becoming unrestful. And we need to continue to stand up, demand answers, keep talking, hold these people accountable. They're not going to admit what they do. Do you think they're ever going to come out and admit, oh, yeah, we planned 9/11. Oh, yeah, we made the Maui fires happen. Oh, yeah, we're just doing all this stuff around the world. Yeah, they're not going to admit it. They're going to keep gaslighting, because that's what psychopaths do. Narcissists. They're going to keep gaslighting us. And honestly, a lot of y'all are going to keep, not y'all that are watching this video probably, but a lot of people out there are going to keep believing it. They're going to keep believing the gaslighting.
And cause climate change. Because there's another version of problem reaction solution, which I call no problem reaction solution. When you don't even need a real problem, you need the public perception that there is a problem, and thus you can convince them you must provide the solution, which are changes in society that push on this dystopia month after month after month. Now, I was immediately dismissing the official narrative of 9/11. It made absolutely no sense. And throughout 2001.
You know what the philosophers of ancient Greece said about people that are able to actually question things? That is what differs the sheep, the people, the regular, normal, average people from the great minds. The greatest minds are differentiated from the average people by their ability to question things, to to be philosophical, to think deeply into things, to ask why. Why does the universe work the way it does? Do you think like Einstein or anyone would be able to figure out the things they did if they weren't asking questions all the time? No. But now we've come up with clever little words like truther or truther now.
And into 2002, I researched a book, which I think, from my knowledge anyway, was the first major book to be published on the subject of challenging the official narrative.
Scorpio that
and it's called Alice in Wonderland and the World Trade Center Disaster, Why the Official Story of 9/11 is a Monumental
We're going to look at architects and engineers for 9/11. A whole large
many years later,
totally
around 2018,
controlled event.
I thought, I'm going to do an update of this book and bring in all the information and evidence that's come to light since. Well, it took me about 2 weeks to realize that actually updating that book was not on. It had to be a totally new book. And so in 2019, I published The Trigger about 9/11. I want to read that one then, I guess. And I read everything that moved. I researched everything it was possible to research. And it's a massive volume, the first half of which takes apart every aspect of the official story of 9/11. And in the second part, it names many of the people and organizations that were behind those attacks.
It takes a lot of work to put together all this information. You know, it's one thing to
hijackers
find it and then to actually
now I'm going to be
synthesize
talking to a very experienced airline pilot in America who very quickly realized there's no way that's true. But first, I just want to deal with the building falling, because they were the most obvious controlled demolition you could ever see. And before I get into the buildings themselves, let's remind ourselves of what a controlled demolition looks like.
Earlier, all these people were running around saying they really controlled it. I mean, it does look a little different, you know, but there were flashes that went off also in the windows, and I was watching a video of that the other day. One of my clients today was saying he also has
unbelievable. Whoa.
I know it's exactly how it looks, though, going down. No?
So there you have it, a controlled demolition where they put the charges in the particular parts of the building that the fire must have been so evenly spread.
I think he's talking about building
and breaking the laws of physics in terms of its temperature. That
7 is an important
all
number
the
to the
major parts of the building failed at exactly the same time. So it came down on
So
its
he's
own
talking about
footprint.
Building
I
7.
mean,
So Building 7 didn't have a
it's
plane in it. So
almost
how did
incomprehensible
Building 7
that the authorities
come
would
down like
seek
that?
to explain it away with such absolute bloody nonsense.
And just know I'm
So,
praying for you, Miss Anonymous, and I'm keeping you in my
the
thoughts, and I just keep looking at your
controlled
comment and
demolition
thinking about it
buildings
right now,
come
and it
down
makes me so
on
upset and
the
angry
land that they're
yes, I'm
standing
reaching
on.
people that I
And
love.
we've also seen and
Terrible world, one
heard
world
the
champion,
rat-a-tat-tat of the explosives going off before and during the collapse of the building. So let's go back to Building 7 here and watch for the very clear black.
And I don't think he's going to mention it in this one, but honestly, a really weird thing. Yes, evacuate, Miss Anonymous. If you need to get to safe ground, definitely do that. Don't wait until it's, too late. I feel like people do that sometimes, and that is where you hear really bad stories about things taking a turn for the worse. So please keep yourself safe, you and your loved ones. Okay. Let me know how everything's going. So what I was just saying about Building 7 is that they actually reported on Building 7 falling. I think it was like an hour before the building actually fell, or at least before the building fell. There was a reporter that reported this story. And how did the firefighter also told the guy that was trying to go help people, he was getting too close to the building. He told him, you got to go. They're about to take this one down. They are about to take this one down. So also I was noticing numerology. 7 is very important. We had 7, Building 7. We also had the plane 77, which is the one I believe crashed into the Pentagon. We have 47 stories in Building 7. And if you add those together, guess what number that is? 11. So a lot of numerology going on in this event. You have 93 right here. If you can see this, 93 is actually a number that's very important to Satanists. In the Telema and Telemic magic and Kabbalistic magic, the 93 holds a certain vibration. It does relate, I believe, to 666 in a way, but 9 has this interesting frequency when you use the number with its negative frequencies. So all numbers have positive and negative frequencies or attributes, I guess you'll say. So the number 9 is an interesting one because it always reduces back down to itself. So in a way, you could look at that as like a looping, which could represent ego. It could represent lies, confusion. Okay, so 93 and flight 93. There was a flight 93, which went down, I believe, in a field or something like that. These numbers are not coincidence, you guys. And it's not coincidence that George Bush loved to, little baby George Bush, loved to throw these horns. These are the goat horns. Hold on. These are the goat horns of the Baphomet. Okay. The goat of Masan, the demon, goat herder. Okay, so there we have the image of the Baphomet. He is doing the as above, so below, though, which is, their take on duality, right? The Baphomet is not actually, they don't worship the Baphomet. It's almost like the Baphomet is like it's almost like the antithesis of God. Like, I've been learning about this symbol, but the goat head, it also comes into play with George Bush was reading what book to the children. What book was he reading whenever he got the news about the World Trade Center getting hit? He was reading The Pet Goat. Now, you might think, oh, the pet goat, no big deal. But once again, we have that goat symbolism, right? Yeah, and then you have all reducing down to 2, interestingly. 2, and even the 2 towers represent Hakin and Boaz, which is the Kabbalistic, the 2 towers in the High Priestess tarot cards. So a ton of symbolism going on. He was reading The Pet Goat, and we'll get more into all of that, but that's just kind of like at least a little bit of what I've kind of been finding as far as symbolism goes. Just
explosions going off all over the building
one of these events
before and during its collapse.
And effective. So can't I make that bigger? Right.
It's a controlled demolition. But of course, the authorities, the government, can't admit that, because if it did, the whole narrative, all of it,
would all fall apart.
of 9/11 would fall apart. So what do? Well, what do governments do? They bloody lie. And so we've had a government agency produce a report telling us that somehow building, wasn't it by a plane? They say all debris came from the other two buildings or whatever.
Oh yeah, just it fell
But
down
that
because of
building
debris.
fell in perfect controlled demolition style because
Oh,
of
okay. Well, since you say so.
fire.
No tall building had ever collapsed primarily due to fire. But that's exactly what investigators believe happened to the 47-story World
No
Trade
tall building
Center
had ever
Building
done this
7
before, but
on
somehow
September
this one
11th.
magically did.
According to a 3-year comprehensive building and fire safety investigation just completed by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST.
World Trade Center 7 collapsed because of fires. We really have a new kind of progressive.
I love how we don't believe them. And so what do they go do? They go hire some specialist and then pay them to say whatever they want. And then we're supposed to believe that. Like, oh, you know what? We debunked it using our own specialists. Oh, well, thank you. That's not a conflict of interest.
Collapse that we have discovered here, which is a fire-induced progressive collapse.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we've shown for the first time that fire can induce a progressive collapse.
NIST used detailed data describing the building and its contents
before,
to create the
suddenly
most complex
fire's doing
computer
things it's never
simulation
done
of a
before.
structure collapse ever made.
Look at our
What
digital
absolute nonsense. And if you want to see an absolute catalog of nonsense, then read the 9/11 Commission report, which is a packet
Well, look at
license start to
architects
finish to
and engineers
hide
for 9/11
what
and all
really
the people that also believe
happened.
that.
And so we come to the main
narrative.
South Tower, and here are a number of witnesses, and there were so many more, who are describing hearing and seeing explosions in the buildings
Yeah. check this
before
out.
and during the collapse.
It sounded like gunfire, you know, bang, 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 bang,
Bang, bang, bang,
and then
bang.
all of a sudden, 3 big explosions.
About 50 consecutive bangs, and it fell down like a waterfall.
And we heard the noise
Holy
associated with the
crap.
explosion.
We heard a very loud blast
Bang.
and
Yeah,
explosion.
that's
We looked up,
detonation.
and the building literally began to collapse before us.
We heard a loud explosion, and at that point, Building 2 was collapsing.
At that point, we heard a large boom. I looked up and just saw the building coming at us.
Do you know if it was an explosion or if it was a building collapse?
To
me, it sounded like an explosion.
There was another major explosion. The building itself, literally the top of it came down.
All of a sudden you hear explosion, and you could see the building starting to collapse.
So many people.
Huge explosion that we all heard
hearing
and
explosions
felt.
that day.
We understand now there has been a secondary explosion on Tower 2.
According to the Associated Press, another building.
Kind of hard to argue with raw footage. There's raw footage out there.
The tower rather than has collapsed, though we are told collapsed because of a third explosion.
And about an hour later after that, there was a huge explosion at the base of the South Tower. That's
Really
One
important.
World Trade Center, and part of the
17 is when
building
they
collapsed.
established the
You
Great
could
Lodge
hear a rumble.
of
This was about
Freemasonry.
5 seconds long, preceding the actual collapse, and then a boom when each of those towers collapsed.
Just seconds ago, there was a huge explosion, and it appears right now the second World Trade Tower has just collapsed.
I was about 5 blocks away when I heard explosions.
And then you heard from far away, boom, boom. And you heard the boom, 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 boom.
Floor by floor instead of
Boom, 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 boom.
If they had detonated, plans to take down a building.
Explosive news.
From the corner, boom, 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 boom,
Look
boom,
at that.
boom, boom.
They were
Just
all
like
there.
20
They
straight
witnessed
hits.
it.
And
They're
as the bombs were
witnesses.
going, people just started running, and I sat there
Right
and watched.
after it happened.
A few of them exploded, and it just started going pop. It just started going boom, 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 boom.
Popping,
goes,
and that's
how
what it
fast
sounded
go,
like when he showed the
firecrackers.
one in the beginning. Pop, 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 pop.
It staggers me
It does. It also staggers me. It's like
how
so much evidence.
the authorities can have such contempt for the intelligence of the
I
population
thought this was important, right?
that they can lie so obviously
They really think
about the whole range of what happened on September the 11th. Not one facet of it stands up to scrutiny. But maybe it's not so staggering when you think how many people to this day still believe, journalists not least, God help us, still believe that 19 Arab hijackers were responsible for what happened that day, when the evidence that it was an inside job is absolutely overwhelming. And when you seek the truth,
honestly, just knowing they went to war with Iraq, like
you're called a truther,
war like that fucking
which
day.
is not
like, it happened like right away.
a term of endearment; it's a term of contempt.
Earlier, his face. That's how I feel when I hear the narrative around 9/11. That's the face that I make. So apparently, it was Donald Rumsfeld, right, the Secretary of Defense at the time, who was at the White House, and he was like MIA apparently, and there's some harrowing story of how he was in this office and he felt the rumbling, and so he ran over to the wreckage and he saw the scrap of a plane right there, and you know, when everyone rushed over there, he was standing there in the wreckage, and he picks up a part of the plane and he says, "Oh my God, it's American Airlines number." Which one hit that? Hit 77 or whatever? Like he knew exactly like which plane it was, like this, or it was American Airlines. Like it's just so convenient that Donald Rumsfeld, I believe is who that it was, just happened to be right there. He just happened to be right there to go ahead and collect a piece of the plane and let everybody know, like, this is exactly what it is right now. A plane just hit the building. When a lot of people would say that it seemed like something else hit the Pentagon. Like it definitely seemed way more like a missile, and it would have been really hard to fly. Apparently, according to the pilot on here, which we're not gonna have enough time to really watch that. I want to get into some other stuff. The pilot that David Icke's gonna interview just says like it would be incredibly difficult, like almost impossible for him, even as a seasoned pilot, to go ahead and like pull off a maneuver like that. So that is the face. That is like the best face. Can I take a screenshot of that? Oh my God.
Oh, you're a truther, are you? Yeah, because I want to know why 3,000 people died on 9/11 and how the world was changed as a result. I want to know
you got
what
3,000,
happened.
you have the number 3. What does that
You
make?
do? You don't believe the government? Oh my God. Governments lie through reflex action. That's what they do.
I'm going to be a good girl for a little bit longer, okay?
And there's never perhaps been a more obvious example than September the 11th, 2001. Fortunately, there are intelligent people, and not only intelligent people, but intelligent people with a backbone who have been prepared to not only see through the lies, but to press for justice and for the public to know what really happened. And so we have a series of organizations that have emerged since that day. Architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth. There are thousands of them now worldwide who are focusing on...
Some guy dared to say, oh, so what? There's 3,600 people in architects and engineers. Yeah, that's 3,600 people. Professionals of all different areas and walks of life. Architects and engineers. I just joined it as media. All free-thinking people, you know, of society. But no, every single one of those people is definitely crazy and wearing a tinfoil hat, obviously. Duh.
The building collapses because, as architects and engineers who design and
Also,
build
Jeffrey
these bloody
Epstein killed
things,
himself.
they know that the official story of how they fell is ridiculous, impossible. There's firefighters for 9/11 truth, scientists for 9/11 truth, justice for 9/11 heroes, military officers for 9/11 truth, scholars for 9/11 truth and justice, lawyers for 9/11 inquiry. And then there's the pilot groups of pilots who can see that the story of how the planes were flown and who flew them is utterly insane. It's just not possible for what they are alleged to have done for them to have actually done.
Oh my God.
And despite all these organizations made up of experts in their field, the mainstream media, morons.
I'm calling it mainstream mania from now on. The mainstream mania
establishment just go on repeating the official lies without question. Now, two of these pilot organizations are...
Okay, we're going to stop right there because you guys get the gist. But I felt, I needed David Icke to like, here's one of the groups he was talking about, organizations, architects and engineers for 9/11 truth. Here's the evidence section right here. We've got video gallery, beyond misinformation, World Trade Center physics, technical articles, FAQs, near free fall acceleration, explosive features, eyewitness accounts of explosions, high temperature thermometric reactions, and all kinds of stuff, right? The official theory, foreknowledge, steel sulfidation, and all of this. So this isn't even like, they call this conspiracy stuff, but it's not. It's really just a group of people that are like, taking a story and like putting together all the pieces of the puzzle to bring it together. Look, even Tucker Carlson's over here. Let's see. Let's check this evidence section in the video gallery. Here we go. Make sure you guys are seeing that. So this says key evidence of controlled demolition. Man, you just see the top of the tower like that, and I was watching a video earlier of rare footage of like of being up on the top of the building, the rooftop view. Holy crap. It was freaking high. It's high up there. Like for the people who jumped, that is just absolutely heartbreaking to even think about, like how high up those people were when they leapt off of those buildings because they had no other choice and they had nowhere to go. Let's see. The numbers are definitely weird, but actually they say it's more in the trillions. I've seen articles that try to debunk it, but of course they're obviously going to debunk it in the mainstream mania. But, that definitely is something that's been talked about. And it kind of gives you an idea of another, I don't know, it's like either false flag or kind of like perfect timing to be able to get away with some really, really messed up stuff. Like paying someone, $1 trillion for something? Who got that? So it says near free fall acceleration, Twin Towers. According to the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, which is the U.S. government agency that investigated the World Trade Center destruction, the Twin Towers came down essentially in free fall. NIST's theory of the collapses hinges on the idea that the upper section of each tower could continuously accelerate through the lower stories at nearly the rate of gravity, while in the process completely dismembering the steel frames and pulverizing nearly all of the concrete to a fine powder. Yet NIST provided no modeling or calculations to demonstrate that such behavior was possible. Instead, NIST arbitrarily stopped its analysis at the moment of collapse initiation, asserting that the whole collapse was inevitable once the collapse is initiated. And that was, we saw in the David Icke video, people just talking about all the explosions that they heard. Crazy. I've got some video clips right here. You know, I'm definitely not getting monetized for this video. So let's, yeah, it was something like 2 trillion or something like that that seemed to go missing. I don't know what that, they said that wasn't true, but you know, I don't trust a word they say. So as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, Rumsfeld reported on 9/10 was missing. Interesting. 3T. Okay. Damn. It's a lot of money. Trigger warning? The footage we are about to show is... I think I know which video this is.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I told you I wasn't going to make it. Oh my Lord, have mercy. Yep. Oh, Lord.
Sorry guys, I have to plug in my computer. Okay, sorry, that's like super shocking. Yeah. Oh, it just falls. I feel like, you know, the ones that coordinated this event were very, 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 very pleased with how it all went off. Very pleased. It went off exactly as was planned. And just the terror that people experienced that day, pretty freaking unimaginable.
That's the third. Down it went.
That's the third.
The building just fell.
Huge explosion.
You cut it. Huge explosion.
Attack against the Sears Tower, but
It was super loud, you know? I mean, there was so much going on with sirens and everything, so it definitely might have been, it could have been a little hard to hear something like that. But people who were close enough, it was the people who were close enough that actually really heard the explosions, right? So, yeah, it was loud that day for sure. There was helicopters going. There was just people screaming. It was super loud. Oh, I'm like trying to scroll right there again. So maybe come take a look at this website when you guys get a chance, if you're interested, because I thought this is really interesting that all these people have come together to, you know, seek truth in the matter. I am going to get into this website later. I'm going to be I'm going to continue researching this because, I mean, honestly, it's just like I said, this started it all. And like, it's crazy. So what if I click these? Is it going to take us here? Okay, here we go. What's this? Oh, snap. I can, that kind of makes that easy. I can definitely just click on the thing and now it automatically shared it. Perfect. Man, I really wish things were slow. Yes, I will watch that. Thank you very much. Loose Change, the documentary. Definitely going to need to watch that. Oh yeah, you know what? I totally forgot that you work in the construction industry. That's interesting. Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so let's get into this. This is something really, really weird I found. So now we are going down the rabbit hole a little bit here, you guys. Okay, we've got this article written, the research rabbit hole, 9/11 edition, 9/11 ritual or coincidence. Kite hit steel, plane must. May seem like random words, but they're actually significant. Words chanted in kindergarten room at the exact time the planes hit the World Trade Center buildings. I don't know if you guys know anything about occult or ritual magic, but it's like when you sing, you know, you're chanting, you're basically giving energy to the symbols that you are uttering out your mouth, right? Like the word of God, God's word it's the spoken word out your mouth. So it's powerful that they had these little children in this room. I wonder how many of them there were in the room chanting these words from this book, saying, the teacher was saying like, okay, read the words fast now. And the words that were read were kite, hit, steel, plane, must. Kite, hit, steel, plane, must. Now, the word kite is actually significant because it has jargon that's related to apparently like military jargon of some kind, which is really interesting. And yeah, I thought it creepy. So when he's reading this book to these little kids, the pet goat, oh my God, the pet Baphomet is what he was talking about. Oh, you just saw this. Interesting. So kindergarten class recites this. Kite hit, steel plane must, while Bush reads My Pet Goat book upside down. While he reads it upside down. Bet if anybody actually did go and look, he's probably holding the book upside down at some point. Very symbolic. Very, very symbolic. As above, so below. They're always playing on the duality. Remember that. So they love to take truth and invert it. It's a symbol of lies, right? What is Satan? The father of lies. So to worship the sabbatical goat, and this was a massive black mass ritual. To worship the sabbatical goat is to essentially worship Satan, which Freemasonry is very strongly associated with. They do worship Venus, the Lucifer, the false light, right? Talks about it in this book, Morals and Dogma. Where'd it go? I probably moved it now. Son of a gun. See, this is that Mercury retrograde energy. Whatever. I have the book over here. I moved it. Morals and Dogma. Anyway, it's the Freemason Bible written by Albert Pike. It's got all the different levels of Freemasonry, all the different rites and rituals, and yeah, so goat worship, huh? We'll look more at that. Yeah, no, the way he looked when he got the news actually was okay. To me looked, he was very pleased. Like he looked the way that a psychopath, like if you follow true crime, the way a psycho looks when they're like reliving, you know, some gruesome attack that they've carried out in the past, they get this sick look in their eyes, like it's just, I don't know, like getting off on it. It's bad. And I noticed that. It stood out to me really strong. And I think I saved a picture of that and I didn't upload it, but I can in a minute. Let's see. A note from the author. When I took on the research of 9/11 and the task of writing this into an internet blog format, I debated whether or not I should include some of the more weird aspects that I have found in my research. The no plane theories fall in this category, as do other topics. Luckily, the no plane theories of 9/11 yield some amazing results and really vaulted my perspective on how they were able to pull off the media hoax portion of 9/11. Yeah, I actually feel like that might be the next level of this for me. I'm just curious if there was a plane one. I mean, I saw the plane two in all the videos, and there was a lot of videos that captured that plane. So I do really think there was at least one plane. I don't think the buildings came down because of that. However, I wonder if there was a first plane. And I mean, whatever, it's my right to be wrong. But like this person's saying, sometimes when you go looking at certain things, like it will yield interesting results. So it's worth at least looking into. Let's see. This person says, to avoid sharing this information would be omission. I don't feel that it would be fair to my audience to cloak this knowledge and not reveal what I have stumbled onto while conducting research. I try to keep my information as candid as possible. In order to do this, I really feel that I must share what I have stumbled into when I discovered different legs of research, rabbit hole, hence hole, like as in the whole story. Okay, let's get going. The goat symbolism and the words recited by the students used are very interesting, and some would argue that this is possibly a form of occult ritual. Oh, you think so? Shoot, let me click out of this. Okay, bye, David Icke. You think so? Check it out. Here we have a nice little sigil with the Baphomet goat head on it. This is Samael and Lilith. This is actually, the sigil represents the coming together of the unholy. It's like the unholy marriage of energies. So these are like forbidden energies coming together to create basically an abomination. So sorry to project that. Sorry to get some sage, like cover your third eye, but don't just see it for what it is. Don't take it in as a spell, right? But like see that sigil and know that that is, you know, it's a satanic, that's a satanic sigil. This is goat worship, what we're looking at. And this is why President George Bush throws the dang goat horns. Okay, here we have again at the Satanic Temple, you have a nice little statue of the Baphomet over here, which apparently is partially representative, or also, I guess, entangled with Mesan, this demon herder of goats. Okay, this one, I guess we won't read this whole thing, but I do want to show you at least a little bit because the words I thought were crazy that they were reading in this story. Heads up, I wish they had some pictures on this website. What's the deal? Heads up, this is one of the most bizarre things that I've seen in my 9/11 truth research. It is, for me too, a weird thing. Here is a brief overview of the words associated with the term kite. Kite has multiple meanings, like let's go fly a kite, check kiting, check fraud, floating funds from one account to another account without actually having funds in either account, which is very interesting with Rumsfeld's announcement the day before 9/11, where they were missing $2.3 trillion. Then there is also the term kite, which is an Egyptian bird linked with the goddess Isis. There it is. They always put in Egyptian symbolism, you know it, and I always find that. So I thought that was super interesting about that. Interesting is the word. Used in ceremonies to bring back the dead. Ooh, okay, so death ritual with a kite bird. On the day of 9/11, George W. Bush visited the Booker Elementary School in Florida and was reading a goat book upside down. While he was reading this book, the elementary school children were reciting, kite hit plane, kite hit steel, plane must. What are the odds of this? 9/11 is playing out while these kids are chanting 5 words, and the 3 of the words happen to be directly linked with the events of 9/11. Well, either, coincidences are all abound, or there's no such thing as coincidence. And I tend to lean toward the latter. Hit steel plane. And then you've got kite. And must, like the must is like this must happen, like this is like inevitable to happen. They needed this to go down to, further their agenda. In the video, they actually break right after this, and this is the exact time where the man comes and whispers into President Bush's ear that the nation is under attack. Okay, now we got a photo, thank you. Let's see. They have doctored the photo with different words than I saw appearing when I first read the news. They now switch to kite, kit, steel, playing a must. But even if so, you definitely say those words fast, and what do they sound like? I know. This person says it's far-fetched. It's not that far-fetched. He was reading a book. He was reading a freaking book called The Pet Goat. The guy throws the goat horns all the time. It's not that far-fetched. I think you have to be dense to not see it personally. I mean, maybe some people just aren't wired to see things like this, but I mean, I know I am. Like this person, no, like if people are here finding your article, no one thinks you're that crazy. I mean, some people probably do, but look, I'll trust the government as soon as they tell me what this is all about. Oh, well, I can tell you what this is all about. And I'm sure a lot of you already know that. This is Bohemian Grove. This is where the elite love to go and play in the middle of a giant redwood forest in California. And they love to go do mock sacrificial rituals in front of a giant owl effigy, which represents Moloch, who is a Babylonian or a Sumerian god, in which you would sacrifice children to. So that's what they're doing. But that's definitely not like magical or weird in any way. I mean, it's super normal. Like, don't you guys go out into the middle of the woods and do like mock sacrificial rituals with your friends dressed in like little hooded robes and in front of giant statues that just happen to represent like, ancient deities? Yeah, why would they have them chant? Now read it the fast way. Ew, the fast way. Good meme. What is this Bohemian Grove thing all about? Not many people can answer this with anything more than speculative answers. No, I just gave you the real answer of what that is. Because they are not part of the ceremonies. Well, I can't say because I haven't been there. However, I've seen and I've learned and I know about the symbols. So if you know what the symbols are, then yeah, you will know. But let's explore this kite hits steel plane must topic, okay? There was something about also, actually the Statue of Liberty is like actually symbolic of like, it's like Mother Goddess. I think it's Isis and like, I want to say like Isis and like Thoth or something like that. Yeah, no, not weird. But if you guys would love to join me, I'm getting in the woods in front of a giant statue, but it's totally normal. See, if I did that, y'all would be like, she's a witch. But if the government does that, totally normal. Yes, totally normal. Oh, the video's unavailable. They removed it. But we could probably find it again. I like how they discovered what the kiting, talking about the floating money, that it's all in the words. I'm telling you, spelling. They were trying to show you kind of like also the essence of magic is very simple. Like it's very simple. Like even those little kids could do it. You just chant a word, you just give energy to that symbol, right? So they're making correlations that I already was talking about. The book that Bush is reading is also very interesting. Keep in mind the goat is a symbol for that mythical and religious symbolism in certain cultures, often used for satanic worshiping. Not that goats are bad or anything like that. It just happens to be because of mythology and stories of the past and cultural things that the goat in some stories was associated with certain things that have now linked it into Satanism. So it's not like the goat is bad or whatever, but the pet goat, often erroneously called My Pet Goat, is a children's story from the book Reading Mastery 2, Storybook 1, Siegfried Engelmann and Elaine C. Brunner. It gained attention when on September 11, 2001, okay, we already know that, Emma T. Booker School in Sarasota, where it was part of a larger, you know what, there's something about that area too, Sarasota. There's something happened there that's significant to Bush. I don't know. It's all symbolic. Some of it is elusive and I'm still learning about, so I might not see it all. Okay. I'm done with this for now. Let's move on to our next tab. What's this? So more about the Baphomet, right? I thought with all the, hold on, let me look for it. With all the horns he throws up and all the other celebrities and leaders throw, it must just be a coincidence. And I'm sure it's probably just some universal sign for good faith. And it probably has nothing to do with the Baphomet. Like, you guys are crazy for even thinking any of that. I probably have a picture, but it knows exactly what I'm talking about if I just type in bush goat horns. No, it doesn't. It brought up like Australian goats. I shouldn't have put goat horns. Okay, well, it knows. And all the goats, because he's getting your goat. He's just getting your goat. Here's the freaking look on his face. Oh my God. So this look is just, whoa, like, tell me that look doesn't look like, I don't know, like there's something glassy, something about those eyes. Like, I that's a chilling picture. And I mean, I just think he's like, look at him, he's soaking it in. He's so happy it's all going exactly as he wants. But yeah, this guy definitely throws horns more than anybody. So he must just really love goats. Like maybe he has a goat farm. He probably has a goat farm or something like that. They're probably all goat farmers. I'm sure that's why they do that. See, there's him and his daughter doing it. Throwing up them signs. Man, look at this guy. Like, what a jokester. Sign language? No, they didn't. Oh my God. All right. That's ridiculous. Here we go. All right, so he's a Skull and Bones. We could even look at a list, but we don't really need to. Like George Bush and George Bush Sr., Skull and Bones. You know, George Bush Sr. probably actually initiated his own son into the society. Baphomet, the symbol of the goat. In Masonry, they're all Masons. They're all part of secret societies. You're not in the club, and you can never be. The United Grand, unless you want to do the stuff that they want you to do, which is no-go for me. The United Grand Lodge of England, coat of arms. Hooved angels? Question mark. It is a little weird. It is a little weird. You don't generally think about angels like having hooves unless they're some other kind of angel, like dark angels. Ooh. Why are they so obsessed with goats? In a midrash, Genesis Rabbah 19, Samael, the lord of the Satans, was a mighty prince of angels in heaven. Satan came into the world with woman, that is with Eve. Midrash Yalkut, Genesis 1:23, so that he was created and is not eternal. And 1, 2, 3 is apparently the numerology for conspiracy. Y'all, so very interesting that they're talking about Satan right here. And it happens to be in Genesis 1, 2, 3. We have some sacred symbolism coming from way back in the Bible times. So that he was created and is not eternal. Like all celestial beings, he flies through the air and can assume any form as of a bird, Talmud, Sanhedrin, a stag, Ibid, a woman, Ibid, a beggar, or a young man. He is said to skip in allusion to his appearance in the form of a goat. So the Bible is referring to Satan as appearing in the form of a goat. Why do the Masons like goats so much? Like I said, they're all goat herders, okay? Just goat herders. Are you a Mason? The Grand Lodge in session, and it shows them here with all these goats. It's fine to be a Mason. The password, don't tell the wife. Are you a Mason? The test. Greetings from Atlantic City. He's a Mason, riding the goat. So there's something about riding the goat. I don't remember. Maybe they'll explain it. But at least we're just looking at this symbology and how it's all connected. Apparently Mason's very, very tied in with the goat symbology. And right there again, you have that sigil I was telling you about before. This one, interesting. Yes, you have the like sigil of Adam right here and Eve. That one's very interesting. I like it. It's a cool sigil, to be honest. It's shows how man is actually like in Kabbalistic magic, you know, these Kabbalists, which are your government, are your, you know, the leaders, Kabbalists, practicing gematria, right? This numerologist kind of sacred numerology, talking about path work and working with different corresponding energies in order to get different results, working with different beings sometimes and demons and things like that. But you know, not all bad necessarily. It's like how the practitioner uses the energy. All energy is like neutral, essentially. It's more the intention that's behind it. So man is the 5-pointed star, right? That's why you see the symbol of the pentagram. The star is very, very, very significant, and actually like there's a lot of deep symbolism going on in there as far as its reference to man being like the 4 elements and spirit in the middle combined. So you have the 4 and then the 5 being the sacred number of man, right? Adam and Eve here on that sigil. That is interesting. So that would be like the holy matrimony of energies. Adam and Eve, the divine feminine, divine masculine, but then you have Samael and Lilith, and you have now like the inverted energy, the unholy matrimony. Liber Capricornus, the symbolism of the goat. Presented to Norwood Lodge, number 90, September 3rd, 1991. Our first experience upon entering the lodge as apprentices is to be warned about the goat. Even before we are informed of in whom we should put our trust, we are given knowing looks, followed by such comments as, he is going to get the goat, or you are going to ride the goat, or even look out for the goat. It's a good thing that we are informed that we place our trust in God, since some poor unfortunate entered apprentice could understandably be forgiven for replying, in the goat. The origin of this humorous initiatory jest about the goat is shrouded by the veils of time. Several older brethren I have conferred with seem to have no idea of where or when it originated. It could have originally been imported from America, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I don't want to read all that right now, but they're going into history of the goat, right? Astrological sign Capricorn. Capricorn also, well, actually, yeah, and Capricorn being in the tarot, actually the devil card. So interestingly enough, the goat, once again, associated with the devil in the tarot, you do see that, you know, and that means like being in the chains of bondage, some kind of bondage, unhealthy ties, attachments, etc. This is kind of interesting, though. In fact, the very same Babylonians who gave us this symbol of Capricorn in the science of astrology were the first temple builders, and the goat for them symbolized the essence of the temple or lodge, an animal usually found climbing in the mountains. Thus, from the first ziggurats to the Temple of Solomon, even to later churches, the goat was seen as symbol of man striving to reach God through his building of temples that represented mountains. Interesting. Since in all religions, God's abode is symbolized by mountains. Hence, mountains, you have the pyramids, right? They represent, you know, trying to attain higher consciousness or getting to God. They weren't necessarily tombs like people believe. Some of them are tombs, but Giza was an initiation temple, at least as far as a lot of initiates and a lot of people that might even have ties to Freemasonry, like Manly P. Hall say. And I've read some really cool stuff about initiations and how that went down in the Great Pyramid of Giza. Oh, here, they're going to mention Manly P. Hall. According to a research monogram on the Dionysian artificers in early Masonry edited by Manly P. Hall, the symbolism of the goat relates to the pre-Christian god Pan, Dionysus, the god of wine and of indulgence, right? But also represented by I thought the bull, but maybe Dionysus was more related to the goat, I guess. Okay. So the goat, excuse me, the goat god was accepted by the later Greek mystery schools as the symbol of the temple builders. Okay, that is interesting. In fact, the Dionysian artificers was such a mystery school. They viewed practical temple construction as a source of understanding the mystery of nature and God, thus being one of the early esoteric schools from which Masonry had inherited certain symbols and teachings. Most specifically, this Greek mystery school developed the Ionic column, which are introduced to us in the fellow craft degree. Once again, this column, which acted as the cornerstone of Greek architecture, literally holds up the temple, the column, the tower, taking down the temple, right? That could be representative in the acts of 9/11. The very support for the mountain or home of God. So it was like maybe even a play on taking down the columns that would hold up the temple of God, right? If they worship Satan, maybe they're like, let's do this reverse ritual that represents bringing down that higher knowledge. Also representing the goat, also representing the active male sexual or fertility aspect of nature, as Capricorn rules the returning sun from the darkness of winter solstice. In the sign of the goat, Capricorn, the sun begins to resume its ascent towards the spring equinox, as well as the goat horn is a halophalic symbol represented even today as the cup of plenty or cornucopia, which we see represented in the lodge. A common Thanksgiving symbol that we see. So very pagan, all of it, right? All the holidays, even though they're masked in their grotesque consumer manner, they are all pagan in origin. And the more you research, the more you can find these correlations, which I find fascinating. So every time you see the image of a cornucopia, you think like, oh yeah, but it actually represents, fertility and the harvest and the male reproductive energy. All right. Let's go a little bit more. And I think we're about to the bottom of this. All symbolism about the goat horns that needed, it's very important because it's right there. When he throws those goat horns, you just know. And like, even if people like, well, it's a symbol for like heavy metal or like rock and roll. So they all listen to heavy metal. Everyone that does that, I highly doubt it. The Queen of England doesn't really look like somebody who listens to heavy metal. I'm just saying, maybe she does, but yeah. Let's see if we can look at this. List of Skull and Bones members. So there we have that symbol that's on the background. Skull and Bones. And then we have founded in 1832. Okay, so it adds up to be a 5 if you add that all together, I believe. Does that say 1832? Yeah. 5. Once again, we have the number 5 coming through, right? And so founded in 1832. There we have founding members. 18, dang, man. Oh, this is a long list. So look at this. John Kerry faced off against, okay, so both of these guys, John Kerry and George Bush, who faced off for the presidential election in 2004, were both two bonesmen. Okay, so if that's not a sham, I don't really know what is. Look at all these names. There's George W. Bush. Oh, look, we found him. So there he is on the list. A lot of other people on these lists. John Kerry, got George Bush. Let's see. Do we recognize any of these other names? Oh, we've got Dead Man's Jacket guitarist, James Vasquez. Don't know who that is, but we've got United States Treasury Secretary. So right here on Wikipedia, we have a whole list of people who are or were in this secret society, this Skull and Bones society, right? This year, the year Skull and Bones, why we are seeing so much crazy stuff go down. A push for the NWO. Okay. It's crazy. Let's pull up something else. So Boaz and Hakeem, I think I'd mentioned that. Like, the two towers actually are found in the High Priestess tarot card. And you have the priestess sitting in between both the towers, Hakeem and Boaz. And I don't really know a lot about like Kabbalistic magic, but I know that the two towers represent kind of like, you know, they represent like emotion and like logic. So they are like masculine, feminine. We have the numbers two coming with the duality energy. So the two towers definitely giving masculine and feminine. I'm going to go ahead and guess like the light would hit them in certain ways that when you're looking at them, one is going to look light and one is going to look darker. Just to play on the duality, I would almost guarantee they were built that way. So their symbols in Freemasonry, apparently, I do believe those two towers represented the two towers in Boaz and Hakeem. In the freaking priestess, sorry. According to the Bible, Boaz, Hebrew, Boaz, and Hakeem, Yakin, were two copper or brass or bronze pillars, so metal, which stood on the porch of Solomon's temple, the first temple in Jerusalem. They are used as symbols in Freemasonry and sometimes in religious architecture. They were probably not support structures, but freestanding based on similar pillars found in nearby temples. The pillars did not survive the destruction of the first temple, which is in Jeremiah 52:17. There we have 17 talking about the destruction of the first temple where the pillars did not survive. So, you know, actually building 7, this is going to blow your freaking minds right now. Building 7 was actually called the Solomon Building. I believe it was the Solomon Building, you guys. I don't know if it was like the Solomon Brothers or Solomon Law or something like that, but it was the Solomon Building. So taking down Building 7 was necessary in performing this ritual. That's crazy. I just put 2 and 2 together. So I was wondering what ritual they were recreating here. And I'm going to go ahead and say this is a recreation of the destruction of the first temple of Solomon. The Chaldeans broke up the bronze columns of the house of the Lord. I told you they were bringing down. It's symbolic of bringing down the house of the Lord. The pillars were carried away in pieces for ease of transportation. Isn't that how they took away the 2 towers? In pieces, right? When the second temple was built, the pillars were not returned, and there exists no record of new pillars being constructed to replace them. So, but what was built in the Twin Towers? What was built at ground zero? Like, did they build more buildings, or is it just a memorial, or what? Actually, I feel ignorant for not knowing that, but maybe one of you guys can illuminate. I told you, look, this says, according to Rabbi Raymond Apple, Jewish commentators, I wonder what would happen. I wonder what it looked like when you would be looking out of the Solomon Building. I bet you it would show this view that he's talking about. Okay, so Jewish commentators on Kings 7:21 maintain that it was when one stood inside the building and looked out toward the entrance in the east that Hakeem was on the right to the south and Boaz was on the left to the north. Oh my God. Let's see if we can find a view right now, because I feel like I'm like putting together some puzzle piece at this moment. And maybe some other person has figured this out before. I'm sure they have. However, this is crazy. We're unfolding this right now. View of Twin Towers from building. I would bet I bet that all is within like some kind of star. Huh. Okay. I don't know if we're getting an accurate view here. I can't. It's just giving me different views. But how much do you want to bet? How much do you want to bet? Because now I believe that this was a recreation of the falling of the Temple of Solomon. I bet when you were in that building, Solomon building, it's 2 pillars. Okay, interesting. Well, you know, they probably had to do, they felt they probably had to do that, at least make some kind of memorial. So anyway, isn't that crazy though? The Solomon building was building 7, you guys. And if you add the stories, 47 stories together, it makes the number 11. 911, 1 + 1 = 2, the 2 pillars. The 2 pillars of Hakin and Boaz. Wow. So this was a ritual of the falling of the Temple of the original falling of the Temple of Solomon. And the view from the Solomon building, building 7, was with Hakin and Boaz. So the 2 towers, I bet you could see them on right and left. I would go ahead and bet money on that. So wow, we just totally cracked a mystery right here, you guys, on accident. I didn't really mean to put that together, but I did. See? So here comes the tarot that I love so much. I love my tarot. I don't care what anyone says. It is not evil, and it is all of the Most High. Okay, let's see. Don't be afraid. Just like fear is how they keep you controlled. And of course, if you're fearful and they just say that magical things are evil, then you're never going to try to like free your own mind through this stuff. So the Romanesque Church of Santa Maria Maggiore, Tuscania, Italy, has a recessed entrance flanked by a pair of free-standing stone columns intended to evoke Boaz and Hakin. Similar pillars intended to represent Boaz and Hakin also exist in Wurzburg Cathedral in Germany. In Sweden, columns representing Boaz and Hakin can be found in most Masonic lodges and are emblematic in their use in Masonic ritual. The pillars are part of the symbolic use of Solomon's temple itself. Hakin, an incorporated town in the U.S. state of Georgia, takes its name from the pillars. Some variants of the tarot, including the High Priestess, depict Boaz and Hakin. Oh, we figured it all out. So right there, we have heavy use of that symbolism in Masonry, and bada bing, bada boom. You know? Bada bing, bada boom. Temple of Solomon, the Solomon building, number 7. I mean, honestly, if you can't see it, you guys, like I said, you might be blind. You just might. Okay. I'm just excited when I solve mysteries. Like, pretty cool. Let's keep going. The rabbit hole goes deep. And we're already pretty deep in this one, and there's so much to cover. So I might honestly do a number 2 of this. I might do a number 2. I might do a number 2 of this. I need to take my dog's OUT in a moment. Whoa, it's 9:32 right now. It's literally 9:32 for me. That's crazy. I'm seeing like all these 9s and 3s and 2s and 1s. Whoa. So look, thelemic union, right? Thelema is the practice under the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. I believe it was started by like Aleister Crowley, yes. As it is written, what is 93, right? And this website is thelemic union. So this is like a it's a pro Satanist site here, and I'm only on it for research purposes. What is 93? As it is written in the book of the law of Thelema is stated as, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. So it's not do what thou wilt, but don't hurt anybody. That's a lie. Like, it's do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. So it's like doing what you will over God's will is the whole of the law. Like, God doesn't have law over you. You are the ruler of your own domain. Hence Satan, Lucifer breaking away from the Lord and, you know, basically inheriting the realm of the earth to do as he wishes. It is further said, love is the law, love under will. The 2 primary terms in these statements are will and love, respectively. In the Greek language, they are thelema, will, and agape, love. So thelema is some conversion of will and love. Let's see, though. So here we just have like the Hebrew, I guess the Hebrew symbols But let's see. 93 is salutation. Anyway, it's not really, I didn't really want to, I'm not going to get into this. This is so like, actually here, this one part is important. Flight 93, don't forget that that's where the connection that we are putting together right now, 93. And there's also another connection. So when plane, I think it was the second tower, don't quote me, but where one of the planes hit the tower was right at the 92nd, 93rd floor. So isn't that crazy? There was plane 93 that went down, and you also had in one of the towers, the 93rd floor, I believe you had 44. Don't quote me. I think you had 44 above, and I think you had 77 floors below. So you had 44 floors above, 77-ish. Is that right? Those numbers are not exactly right, I don't think. No, because I think there's like 110 stories, or maybe is that more? Anyway, I'm gonna have to look that up. But anyway, the numbers are really weird if you look at actually how many floors were below and how many were above. And 77 is a part of that, because there you have that 77 again, and like flight 77, flight 93. And here you have them talking about Ptolemaic union. And this says, the custom derives from Aleister Crowley's guideline that Thelemites should greet each other with the law. Since saying the entire law can be cumbersome, using 93 has become a kind of shorthand. Okay, so it's a shorthand of saying basically that the first thing that they say or whatever. So it is a salutation amongst these Satanists, followers of Aleister Crowley, master, occultist and high priest, practitioner of ancient Egyptian magic and rituals. Quite the deviant. And they all totally worship this guy. When you see certain symbols, when they're like this with the little cloak and they've got the hands, that's Aleister Crowley. So it's also signaling 93. It's signaling Thelema. It's signaling Kabbalistic magic, right? When you see, the relation to the left eye has to do with the gouging out of the left eye of Horus by Set, right? You have the opposing forces coming together and the gouging out of the eye of Horus. So eye of Ra, gouging out of the sun by his evil brother. So it stands for do what thou wilt, be the whole of the law. So you have so much 93, and that really is, meaning do what thou wilt here. So do what thou wilt, they do. They do what they wilt. Now, don't they? We're probably getting a little closer to the end here. There are a few more things I wanted to show you. Of course, we have I don't think I even need to play it. I think that little image speaks for itself right here. Apparently you have a frozen frame from the show, which shows New York, and you have 9/11. And what in the world is he like holding up? I don't even know, but it literally says 9/11 right there, exactly like it does in my little cover photo, what do you call it, thumbnail thing, background. So how could the Simpsons be predicting all these things if it wasn't that, Matt Groening is actually a Freemason, and it's not that he's planning these things, it's that these things are planned because they're done through a very complex system of gematria. It's like people are sitting around and like way ahead of time coming up with all this stuff. Look at these. Look at these. Look at this one. In 2009, we have justice. What does that say? Justice for George? Does it? If it says that, that's no, I'm done. Like, I'm done, and y'all can call me a conspiracy theorist all you want, but look at that. 2009 to 2020, you got the George Floyd incident predicted. You got Trump predicted. You got the Maui fires predicted. You got 9/11 predicted. You got so many different things. And it's not a prediction. It's not like, oh, The Simpsons just got lucky because we posted enough times about it. Wow, it took off from Boston at Highway 93. So heavy on the 93. That was so maybe around the world, people who practice, they would recognize this ritual. So I wonder how many people out there that are actually Satanists that are like under that law of secrecy, that they won't come out and say anything because silence is, golden amongst these groups. But how many people out there that are into Satanism recognized the symbolism and all of this? They were like, hey, I recognize that 93, 93, 93. Hello, brothers of the dark brotherhood. Okay. Do without wilt. Something, something, whatever nonsense. No, I do the will of the Lord, please. But wow, thanks for figuring that out and pointing it out. I mean, it just goes deeper. Now, you're probably curious about the 9 and the 11. So I think I was explaining 9 earlier being this number that always reduces back to itself when you, I think, divide or multiply it. Like if you divide it, if you multiply it by any number and then, it can reduce, it'll reduce back down to 9. It's so weird how it does that. And I think the only other number that does that, what number was it? I can't remember. There's another number that does that, but anyway, I'm not a mathematician. I don't pretend. So 9 though holds a frequency of kind of like this loop because it always continues to come back to itself. So it kind of shows like staying in the same place or like no progress. So it could definitely represent confusion, lies, ego. It could represent just like a closing down of the third eye, right? Or an inability to see the truth, an inability to escape a continuous cycle within the matrix. Essentially that 9 and 11 is and 11 is a master number, so it's a master healing number. It's a number of manifestation, and has such powerful frequencies of manifesting. But what happens when you take that energy and you seed it with fear, right? You seed that 11 with the 9, then you are really manifesting this continuous like loop within the matrix of ego and of fear. It's a fear loop is what it's talking about. And it's a portal opening and a cultivation of energy on this earth. So they opened a massive portal of energy and it shifted things. It really did. It shifted. It sent a shockwave of energy like out into the universe because just the fear and the level of intensity of the event and all the symbolism that they packed in, right? With all this crazy stuff, the 77s, the 11s, the 9s, the 93s, the thelemic union, the goat horns, the sabbatical goat. Okay, this was a black mass, a ritual sacrifice that was carried out to the T, executed exactly as they want. We even discovered that this was a ritual of taking down the original Temple of Solomon and building 7 Solomon building, which 47 stories reducing to 11. Like it's crazy. It's crazy, all this. So what's this? Oh, oops. All right. Well, here's Aleister Crowley, Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. So when you see that thelemic, 93, the do what thou wilt, this all came from him and his philosophy. You see them doing these poses. Here he is in his Egyptian garb. Hey, the man was smart. I'll give him that. Like he was very intelligent. He was pretty psychic. This guy was totally tapped in. He really understood Egyptian magic, and I truly believe it's because he was reincarnated, probably some priest from Egypt. I think I was. And I think that's why I know all these things and I'm able to recognize all this symbolism in this life, and it like wakes me up and I'm like, whoa, I remember this stuff and I remember it from another life. I know that. And so he was somebody like that. And so he carried into this life this information that all the leaders in Hollywood, especially, you're going to see them heavily tied into Aleister Crowley and the Satanism that kind of evolved from his philosophies. So it's not even just Satanism, though. It all goes back to this like Egyptian magic, right? But now it's also got this like new age spin where, it has become a neo version of all the ancient mysteries, the sacred mysteries. They love to play out everything they do ritualistic. They love to play out all these rituals of things that happened back in the day. So now every time I see one of these major events, I'm like, okay, what kind of ritual is this? So you can definitely expect that I'll be making more videos about this kind of thing in the future. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep decoding all the symbolism, and it's all going to tie together. We're investigators and researchers. And there was one more that I think I wanted to show you guys. Yeah, we're not going to look at the one where it's like, debunked. I just kind of thought I pulled it up, or I put it in there because I thought it just sounded ridiculous. That it was kind of funny to point out how ridiculous it sounded. Okay, so this guy's really good. Actually, go follow him on YouTube. Tell him I sent you. Why not? Isaac Weishaupt. He does really cool articles, podcasts, and he makes YouTube videos all about occult. Check out his channel too. Let him know that I also sent you. Between them, I feel like they've been helping me like really peel my third eye open lately. I've been having like another wave of awakening, which I feel I've probably had several. So I must have taken a look at this a little bit and started learning about all the numerology. Even though that's not the one I was looking for, there was another one. But whatever, you can go check out his stuff. I won't just like read all his stuff right here. If you want, go check him out. I find him fascinating, very informed, very intelligent. And yeah, so hold on one sec. Oop. Here, I think it was this one. Oh man, okay, that was a close call. I'm so glad it keeps going and doesn't. Every now and then I press the wrong thing and it's like, oh Lord, we're gonna have a catastrophic event here. Nothing that we can't come back from, obviously. Not too catastrophic, but here was the one I actually wanted to show you guys. So I think I'm gonna have to reshare that real quick. Negative occult. I already went into it, but there was an article that I read about, let's just look at it because it's cool. That started going into like all the negative occult symbolism around the number 9 and all the numerology. So let's share this. All right. The 9/11 event and negative occult use of the numbers 9 and 11. So we already did get pretty into that, and I think I did a pretty good job of explaining it. This could be for someone that hasn't already heard what we just heard, but I say the world is run through symbolism, and the ones that run it, they use it to achieve certain ends. It says, once you start to understand the occult workings and nefarious intention of certain groups of people in power in the world, your eyes will be more open and you will begin to notice it more and more. The signs are everywhere, and the more you look, the more you'll find. Let's look at the numbers. So actually, probably going to school us. In the gematria numerology system used in Kabbalah, 911 is a secret occult number. When you add up each digit, which is how numerology works, you get the number 11. Or some dark occultists see 9/11 as a way to represent the number 92. In this case, the 9 is kept and the 2 is converted to 1 + 1. 92 is said to be an extremely occult number used for black magic. So maybe it is. We did learn about 93, but I'm guessing 92 probably holds some even darker meaning, because we've got that 9 with that loop energy, right? That like endless cyclic ego loop of fear. So entrapment, imprisonment, and then with the 2 kind of could show like complete entrapment or enslavement of the mind, right? Of like the 2 dualistic energies. Wow. The number 9 in Western numerology, namely the Pythagoras method, can represent, I thought it was the Pythagorean theory, whatever, can represent death, destruction, and endings. It is well known as signifying an end of a cycle. 9 can bring up drama, karma, and chaos. So we did have that 11 being a master number, giving it extra impetus, potential, and power. Boom, we already did get into all that. Got some cool pictures. So John Cusack says, the president can just decide whom he wants to take out. And, since 9/11, there are words, magic words like terror. And if you use magic words, you can justify any power grab you want. Like terrorist or war on terror. Suddenly, you can do whatever you want. Oh no, or wildfire, or storm, or global warming. I guess that's why psychopaths love 9/11 so much. 9/11 is about trickery, smoky mirrors, and delusion. They tricked us into an aggressive agenda of war and terror. And when this one was interesting. Check this out. When you align each number of the word ISIS with numerology, the number pattern is as follows: 9191. Take this one more step and look at the dollar sign. Some people are saying that the dollar sign with 2 vertical lines is another play on the word ISIS. It is, though. If you look at it, dude, it is ISIS. And then did they call like the terrorist group ISIS or whatever? ISIS being like the Egyptian goddess. Whoa. And, okay, this is one last thing I forgot to mention. We all know that 911 is globally known as the emergency services number of the United States of America. Doesn't that stand out to you, or at least make you wonder? Creating 911 as the emergency number further adds to the theory that the number is used as a negative occult creation, as an evil manifestation that feeds off of negative vibration of alarm, terror, fear, desperation, illness, death, and dire emergency situations. Bro, that is dark, okay? That is freaking dark. It's like you're feeding a whole entity through the 9/11 system. You're feeding those numbers like so much energy. Imagine all the people that call 911 for all the reasons that you call 911. It's not usually a good thing. I mean, it almost never is. So the idea is that every time the number is seen, thought, or dialed, it acts as a kind of trigger or code, as an energy source for darkness. It is being used as a food or fuel for negative sources that like to feed off of fear energy. Having 9/11 as the emergency number keeps that energy alive. Wow. On top of this, both Iran and Iraq have the area code 119. Stop. Which is, of course, 911 in reverse. What a candid example of smug control from behind the scenes and secrets hidden in plain sight. It is a cruel secret trick and strategic, nefarious game played right in front of our eyes. Now, don't you think it's a bit coincidental? Oh, it's a bit of a coincidental and apt that America's so-called worst terror attacks happens on that date. September 11th, 2001 was boldly dubbed 9/11. It's extremely uncanny, isn't it, that it's simply referred to as 9/11. And only in one other instance, when this person noticed that the London bombings were done on 7/7, and they apparently call that date 7/7. You might be interested to know that the number 7/7 is used by a lot of dark occultists. We all know that 7 is a powerful number. The positive side of 7 is about enlightenment and high spirituality. When used for occult means they are flipping its power to the dark side. Let's briefly examine 7/7 so that you can see trends and semblances to the modus operandi behind 9/11. Okay, the date of the event, 7/7 event, was 7/7/2005, so it's going to be 7/7/7. Wow. The triple use of 7 is a strategic representation of 3, which is the Trinity triangle or pyramid, right? Interestingly enough, in this event, 52 people were killed and more than 700 injured. Notice the repeated number 7. Wow, they really went hard on the 7s in that one. My question is, why aren't other massive negative events in the world called 6/2 or 8/12, etc.? Back to 9/11. The local radio station QQ was also housed there, and their icon was the image of the Twin Towers standing for the number 11. Oh, yeah, that one was getting all into the 11. So anyway, we got the 7 stuff down. Whoa. I don't want to watch your masterclass right now, but maybe later. I'm down. For free, heck yeah. New York, which contains 11 letters. Oh, my God. 11th state to be added to the Union. The plane that hit the North Tower was flight number 11. Okay. In fact, it was American Airlines AA, right? 11 numerologically. 92 people on board. 9 plus 2, 11. And you also have 9/11 with that if you just take the 2 and break it up. And 11 of those people were crew members. And the time of the impact breaks down to 9. Man, it struck 9 floors altogether between the 77th and 85th. That's what it was. And then 85, I got 13, but I do see 13s coming through sometimes. The South Tower collapsed after 56 minutes, 11. The North Tower collapsed at 10:28, which also equals an 11. On 9/11, Bush Jr. declared 11 days of mourning, and the American flag was strategically half raised for 11 days. Many years before the 9/11 event, another incident had occurred on the 13th February 1975. There was a fire on the 11th floor of the North Tower. I could keep going, but we don't need to. Let's see, what does this say? Out of these struggling times, we conceive our 5th objective. Oh, President George Bush told Congress this on 9/11, 1990. Out of these struggling times, we conceive our 5th objective, 5. There we have that 5 number, pentagram, number of man. A new world order coming into view, where nations join the common cause to reach the common aspirations of mankind. So they've used these words plenty of times, new world order. And I didn't even freaking know about all those 11s. Holy crap. And apparently it took 11 years to freaking be built, okay? I'm tired of saying 11 at this point. Wow. It says, after 9/11, the approval for the construction of the new monolithic One Trade Center tower was on 26th. See, so there was like a rebuilding. Maybe that almost represented the new Solomon building. Temple of Solomon. On July 14th, 2011, notably Independence Day, July 4th, 7 plus 4 equals 11, it was lit up with the colors of the American flag. Interesting side fact, Independence Day was started on July 4th, 1776, the very year that the Illuminati was also formed. Coincidence? I think not. No coincidences. Yeah, and then we had Obama in office who got to take credit for the taking down of Osama bin Laden, but I mean, he's just the fall guy, the scapegoat, right? The scapegoat. November 9th, which was 11/9, was when Osama bin Laden was recorded to claim responsibility for the attacks. And just like the demons, these people playing with the dark love to reverse things. Dang, this article just like keeps going. This is long. Man. Powerful stuff, okay? So that is our presentation, bro. Boeing, yeah. 911 megahertz. Dang, I don't know. What does that sound like? I'm curious. That could be it could be like or 92 megahertz maybe. I don't know. What is that? I don't even know in what range that type of thing is. So, a crazy life this turned out to be, you guys. We did some hardcore investigating in this one, and I feel like a lot of pieces came together. So I was kind of wondering how everything would tie in. I didn't know if I would be able to like synthesize that, and it did, and we learned some interesting stuff. So, there you have right next to me, you can see the little, oh, I can't, it's over here. Over there. You can see how I put a 9 in front of the 2 towers to just show 9/11, and then we've got that 93 up there in the thelemic, right? The thelemic salutation. Do what thou wilt. Do what thou wilt. And don't worry about God, because you know what? You just do whatever the heck you want on this earth. No, don't. That's terrible advice. Don't do that. All right. So I am very, very glad to be able to be discussing these things with you. I really wanted to do this. I feel so compelled to just point these things out because, I mean, even if it's just you guys that are listening, like, it means a lot to me to be able to speak this truth nowadays when I've been being called crazy and gaslit, you know, for years for talking about this stuff. And I've been knowing since I read that book by David Icke that there's just so much more beyond the veil that we don't see with our two eyes. And so it's so important to see with your third eye, you guys. I did watch the end of the ceremony today. Let me just like maybe pull up a picture really quick of memorial situation, and we can just remember who is most important in all of this, and that is the victims of 9/11 and all the first responders. And really, it's just, I think about those first responders, man. It just breaks my heart. And you know, they have these all reflective pools. I just want to let you know those reflective pools are to pay, those are to pay homage as so below. So at the Washington Monument, you know, you have the reflective pool in front of it. Oh, it just seems nice. It's a reflective pool. No, that all dates back to ancient Egypt, back to actually where you had reflective pools that would actually show, it'll show the tower, you know, it'll show it in its inverted version. There's a lot of buildings around the world that actually have that. But, you know, I digress. Some of the victims. It's kind of hard to imagine. It's just kind of hard to imagine like all the people that died on the same day, some of them at the very same time, you know? Well, I had a very long conversation with a Jehovah's Witness today, and she's been teaching me about the Bible and what I should read in it. And although I think I'm going to interpret it a lot different than she does, I keep an open mind, right? We should always keep an open mind. We should always be curious. So I invite you guys to approach the world with a sense of curiosity, like a child, and try not to have this jaded, judgmental view of things, because it's when we root ourselves in our beliefs, and beliefs can be changed, right? When you know something, it cannot be changed. So there's certain fundamental truths that I know that cannot be unknown, and that's a beautiful thing, but beliefs can be changed. So don't hold on to your belief system so tight. Be curious, like be curious to learn from other people and gather as much information as you can, even if it challenges your beliefs, right? Be open to that. Why do you feel triggered when people say certain things? Question things. Why? I never realized like that I believed a lot of things when I was younger just because I was told those things, you know? And I think it is not fair to the victims or anyone that's any of us, humanity. It isn't fair to continue on and not share the truth of the things that we find with each other, because we are one collective consciousness. And so when one of us wakes up, it sets off a chain reaction, just like the detonations of the controlled demolition of the World Trade Center, right? So a chain reaction happens when we all do our individual part here and we speak our truth out. It's so powerful, like what can happen, what ripple effect can take hold. So I love you guys so much. You're my vibe, my tribe. I've been seeing, you know, I'm a psychic medium, you guys, and that's what else I do, and one of my God-given gifts on this earth. And you know, I've been for days just seeing kind of like all these souls on the other side that crossed over during 9/11. Like, a lot of them have been visiting me. I kind of been visited by one woman who had an interesting, no, I'll just say she was funny. She was a firecracker. These New Yorkers have sassy sense of humors, and I've been picking up their vibe, and I could just see when I was watching the naming ceremony today, like I could just see this wave, a whole humongous crowd of people that were just there with their loved ones, all these spirits of people who passed on, and their energy, their lives will not be lost in vain. We will not blame this on, we're not going to scapegoat. We're not going to scapegoat this onto people that aren't responsible. Let's call it like we see it, right? And speak the truth, even when your voice shakes, y'all. Keep seeking always. Keep asking questions, right? That's how we get to the answers. That's how we get more information. And it's our right to be wrong. So do it anyway. The answers lie within. You guys all have the answers within you. You are a divine spark. We all are. It's all one, okay? Even all the crazy stuff, it's all one in a weird way. But we don't need to worry about what these evil people are doing, what kind of karma they're taking onto their own souls, right? We don't need to worry about that. We just need to worry about focusing, on God or the universe or whatever, being a good person, taking care of your loved ones, fighting for the truth, fighting for justice, speaking on behalf of those that cannot. For all the fallen on 9/11, on that very fateful day, our hearts go out to you, and let's just leave this live with another moment of silence for all the fallen heroes and for all the victims that were lost on 9/11. We love you, and your legacy will live on forever in our hearts, and we will continue to tell your stories. The truth will set you free, baby. I'm the spiritual genie. Please like, share, subscribe if you love my vibe and want to become part of the tribe. And if you're brave, share this video out and look like a kook, a tinfoil hat wearing person to all your friends. Like I always have. I've been leading the way, you guys. And now, finally, I get to hear those sweet words. She was right. Well, it's not about being right? But it's about being excited for the world to wake up and for us all collectively to ascend together. So I believe that's what's happening. Let's usher in the new earth, baby. Fifth dimension. Don't have fear. Don't let this fear-based mind control you. That's exactly what they want. So I truly believe the spell cannot be done to you when you see it. See what is in front of you. Be free. Think and be free. That's what I'm saying nowadays. Think and be free, okay? I love you all so much. Till next time, I'm the spiritual genie. Stay tuned. I'll be doing another video ASAP as soon as I can put it together about all these crazy storms and weather modification and everything else that's going on, all backed by factual evidence, just as this live also was, with a little bit of theories sprinkled in there, okay? Love you guys. Have a beautiful night, all of you. Miss Anonymous, I will be praying for you. If you need to get a hold of me or whatever, feel free to shoot me a message via email. I know you have my email. And, just let me know if I can help you in any way. And if everyone could please pray for Miss Anonymous and pray that whatever nefarious plans the powers that be are trying to carry out are just not taking hold. Pray that they don't work. They don't have success, right? No weapons shall prosper, okay? No weapons shall prosper. Now pray for Miss Anonymous, and I'll tell you how they can sleep at night because they're psychopathic. They have no empathy, so they sleep very well. They sleep fine, actually, I believe. So it's how you sleep when you don't have a conscience. I wouldn't know. I'd sleep horribly. No. I sleep well. I sleep well, especially with the person that I've become and who I'm standing in here and now. I'm proud of who I am, and I'm happy to be who I am. And I love you all, your divine mirrors. Okay. Yes, so many dots connected tonight. Thank you. Oh, yes. She was right. No, sweet words. Sweeter words were never said. No. All right. I love you guys. Till next time. That's it. I'm out. Peace.